Choosing a life partner is one of the biggest decisions that we make in our lives. I'm just wondering why people aren't asking the correct questions.
Just because you have chemistry with someone doesn't make them the right fit for you. If you struggle with choosing the right partners or the right relationships for you in general, keep watching and I'm going to show you 3 questions you can ask yourself when trying to choose a right person, friend, lover, whoever.
As someone who called off an engagement at 26 after a 5.5-year long relationship, I've learned a lot about what actually matters when it comes to the long haul.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Choose Your Path. I am Miriam, and on this video, we are going to discuss about relationship. The topic today is about how do you know he's the one? How do you really know he's the one for you? For some people, it's an instant feelings. For others, it's a feeling that grows over time. In this video, you will hear real people discuss about the moment that they knew that person was going to be the person they could share a life with.
I got married 6 months after seeing my husband for the very first time. When I tell people I got married after 6 months, I often get asked how I knew he was the one. I really do stand by the phrase, when you know, because in my case, I knew from the very beginning. This feeling I felt was on day one. I thought it was crazy, and at first I tried to push it away because I was like, no, you're being delulu. There's no way. But when he asked me to marry him after a few months, that was my confirmation. Prior to meeting my husband, I was in a relationship that led to heartbreak. A heartbreak I never thought I'd recover from. It's when I decided to give it to the Lord that I started to experience healing. And after that healing, I had made a prayer to the Lord asking him to one day send me my husband when he deemed the time was right. And that in the meantime, he could just prepare me to be a wife so that by the time my husband came, I would be ready. I was very specific in that prayer because I wanted to be for sure, 100% sure that if a man did show up in my life, he was sent by the Lord. I did not want to waste any time. My biggest request though was that I didn't want to have to move or travel for a man or have to compromise my living situation. Because in my previous relationship, I had to always travel to see the person and always move, and it was very draining for me, very mentally exhausting. So when my husband announced to me after 2 weeks of meeting each other that he was going to quit his job and move all the way from Los Angeles to Brussels to be close to me, I knew for sure he was going to be my husband. It's crazy because this was something that I had been praying about for so long, and that I desired so much in my previous relationship for the person to just make that sacrifice, but they weren't able to, and that's okay. I didn't have to ask my husband to do that. He willingly chose to do that and wanted to, and that's what surprised me, but that's how I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with him. It was the first time someone was now showing their love for me through their actions and not just through their words. He was consistently showing me through his actions the type of man that he was, and that was the biggest form of love for me because actions speak louder than words. How I knew he was the one as well is that he constantly did seek the Lord whenever he had to make a big decision, whether it was for himself or regarding us, and especially us. He did not make the decision to move or even to see me for the first time without having the confirmation of the Lord, and that is something that I respected so much. I could see that he loved the Lord so much more and that he would place him first in anything, and that's how he would show up in our marriage. Another way I knew my husband was the one was through the fruit of the Spirit that he displayed continuously. He was so gentle, so kind, so patient and loving with me from the very beginning. And that is something that I had not experienced, at least not to that extent. I could definitely feel the love of Jesus through him. It was hard for me to believe that I was ever going to experience this kind of love after the relationship that I had been in, but trusting the Lord and surrendering my desires to him and just letting him take the wheel is always the best decision to make. All I can say is that if it's not from the Lord, it will break. Trying to do things in my own strength and in my own will never worked out for me. Putting the Lord in the center of our relationship and essentially giving our desires and our relationship to him is what led us to this point. It's what led us to marriage. So, yeah.
Just because you have chemistry with someone doesn't make them the right fit for you. If you struggle with choosing the right partners or the right relationships for you in general, Keep watching, and I'm going to show you 3 questions you can ask yourself when trying to choose a right person, friend, lover, whoever. The first thing to understand is that chemistry and compatibility are 2 completely different things. A lot of people mistake chemistry for compatibility, which is chemistry is a feeling that you get when you see somebody, attractiveness, butterflies, sparks. Compatibility is your long-term values, your goals, your morals aligning long-term. You have to also be careful of what you think is chemistry here. Just because you have chemistry with someone, that doesn't make them right for you. In fact, what you think is chemistry might just be the comfort you're feeling from old patterns that present themselves. So here are 3 questions for choosing a partner. First question is, can they do the job? So essentially, do you guys both want the same things long term? Like, do you feel like this person is equipped to keep up with your lifestyle, or are you both financially compatible, emotionally compatible? Right? That's the first question. Can they do it? Second one is, will they do the job well long term? We want to be thinking future oriented when we're getting into connections. Most of the time, we want something that's going to last, that's going to be stable, right? And of course, you don't always know long term if somebody's going to be able to do what you need them to do. But you can see from early on if they're showing signs of consistency, trustworthiness, reliability from the beginning, responsibility, then there's a pretty high potential they'll do it well long term, be able to commit long term to the relationship dynamic. The last question is this the right team fit? So just because you like somebody, you're attracted to somebody, doesn't mean that you guys work well together as like a team, or that you're really compatible. You know, just because you have great passion, great intimacy, but the compatibility in the way that you like to live your lives, communication is different. So you want to make sure you're being true to yourself and your needs and your relationship values. And if you don't know what your core values are, or you need to like start really getting in tune with them, there's a whole list here that explains what core values are and what you might want to look for. Well, you should look for in a relationship. You just want to make sure you prioritize those.
Okay, finish my hair with me as I tell you the story of how I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that my husband was sent by God to be my husband. I've gotten this question many times and I love telling the story because it's such a simple story. So we're just finishing this up. Normally I would be doing a wash and go at this point in the week, but I don't have any product and I have to do my hair to leave the house to get product. So here we are. Okay, so after I had gotten out of a on again, off again situationship, which if you know, you know, probably for about the 3rd time I was getting out of it, I was like, okay, all right, Lord, I get it. Like, this is not happening. This is not the person I'm marrying. I get it. So I said, if you don't show me clearly that somebody else is my husband, then I will be waiting for this other person forever. So I said, God, when you send me my husband, I want him to say these 3 things. I said, I want him to know immediately that I'm his wife. I want him to see me and know that I'm his wife. I said, I want him to see me and say, whoa. That was the word. I said, whoa. And the 3rd one I'm not actually going to share. Fast forward 2 years when I met my husband at a sound check that he wasn't actually even supposed to be at. And he was introduced kind of in passing to us, but then he later found me on Facebook after searching for me. He found me and I was at a, like, I didn't believe in dating really. I just never liked the idea of going out with someone that I didn't know and getting to know them in that setting. That's just, I've never been a fan of that idea. However, I don't know, something just moved me to do it. I think plans had gotten canceled for me and I was like, okay, well, I've talked to Mark a few times at this point, and I was like, okay, let me just see if Mark is free, because I really wanted to go out. And so I did, and he said yes. So We sat down, I swear, maybe 10 minutes into conversation. He says, yeah, when I first saw you, I said, whoa. And immediately I was like, okay. I, in my head, was like, oh, wow, okay. And I didn't know this man. I did not know him, and it didn't seem like he was really my type. I went on, we started dating a little bit, but then he moved. I remember saying to somebody, I can't count Mark out. Like, I cannot count him out, even though, I don't know, it seemed like it was over, like I wasn't really gonna see him again. I knew that I couldn't count him out. And it wasn't until a bit later that he said, the night I saw you, I went home and I told my brother that I had met my wife. And that was it for me. That was like, okay, I'm sure this is it. I'm sure this is it. And then later he said the third thing as well. So I got all of the confirmation that I asked for and all the confirmation that I needed. So yeah, if you want to know, you want to be sure, ask the Lord to send you a sign. He'll do it. Later, I doubted that it was God, even though it was very, very much so God, obviously. But because it went so badly, I was like, okay, this could not have been what God had intended, but it wasn't. That's the thing, is because we stepped out of God's will. We did not do things the right way, and you cannot expect for things to go the way that God intends when you step out of his will. So yeah, that's the story.
Choosing a life partner is one of the biggest decisions that we make in our lives. I'm just wondering why people aren't asking the correct questions. Because you're choosing your life partner. Let's be asking the right questions. I've got you guys a checklist. Let me run you through some of the questions that you should be asking if you're thinking about, is this my life partner? Let's go. Starting off with, we'll just go through the different categories. So let's talk about communication. Can you openly and honestly communicate your thoughts with that person? At the worst of times, at the good times, can you openly communicate? If you're saying no, we should be worried. Anyway, let's move to emotional intelligence. Are they self-aware and empathetic? Are they? Do they understand when you're struggling? Let me know. Let's just scroll down to some of these other ones. So one of the ones that sticks out for me is financial questions. So it says here, do you have similar attitudes towards money and spending? Do you? Because I said this one before. I asked people whether they would marry someone if they had a load of debt, and everyone went crazy. But would you? Anyway, so this is a good question because you need to understand how your partner is managing their finances. Is it similar to yours? Is it different? Do you have disagreements over finances? That's an important question to ask if you're thinking about choosing a life partner. The other one I love is, are they committed to personal growth and self-improvement? People forget this question because you've got to remember, within your marriage, you guys are going to be individuals as well. Like, are you continue to bettering your life and becoming better? But yeah, this is a checklist. Like, I always give you guys gems for free, and I don't even know why I do it. But this is a really good structure. If you want the full copy, let me know. But ladies and gentlemen, if we're choosing our partners, let us be wise. Let us ask the right questions, because you're only going to do it once. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, don't take it too seriously, but at the same time, be wise.
In this life, you really do have to pray for a partner who helps you overcome your weaknesses, not a partner who exploits them for personal gain. For example, if you're someone who's hyper-independent, you struggle to ask for help, you could end up with someone who exploits that, who feels like they could just give you the bare minimum. They don't have to actually help you when you're in a pickle because you're not going to ask anyway. Or you can end up with someone who recognizes the fact that you struggle to ask for help. So before you even think about asking, they've offered this support. Alternatively, if you're someone who struggles with certain boundaries, you could end up with someone who's like, oh, because they don't assert any boundaries, I can disrespect them. I can go against their non-negotiables because those non-negotiables will be negotiated. You could end up with someone who's like, you know what? No, you have this boundary. Like, you need to honor that. Stop being a people pleaser who encourages you to overcome that weakness. If you're a giver who's always giving while other people are taking, you can end up with someone who feels like, oh, you know what? They're going to give me whatever I want. I can ask for whatever I want. They will just distribute it freely, right? Or you could end up with someone who's like, you know what? This person's always giving. Let me give to them. Let me take care of them. Let me encourage them not to give so much because I understand that they have this weakness and I want to help them through that. My point is, when you are loving to the point of dismissing your own needs, you could very much end up with someone who takes advantage of you. You can end up with someone who exploits you. So pray for someone who helps you overcome those weaknesses. And just to add, because I know someone will say this, oh, but before you even get a relationship, you should work on those weaknesses so you have no weaknesses. Like, let's be realistic. We don't live in a perfect utopia. People don't have to be perfect people to be in relationships. They don't. It's possible to work on your shortcomings while also simultaneously having like companionship. And if someone wants to do that, they are entitled to do that. But it's just about being with the right person.
If you want to flourish, what you need a partner to help you to get there. You can get there on your own, but the strongest partner will help you to get there faster and help you to sustain it. So what is it that you need? From all of my research, it has come down, 10 years of research on this, is I think there's 5 key characteristics that we need. One is you need a partner who's emotionally fit. Now, why is this important? Because life is filled with ups and downs. Constantly. To have someone who's emotionally stable, who can go through the lows, still remain themselves, is incredibly important. So you need someone who's emotionally fit. That's one. Second is you need someone who has courageous vision. You want someone who feels like they're on the path to something. Because if you don't feel like you're on the path to something, you are stuck in mediocrity. You are. You don't have any drive to get up in the morning, right? So you need someone that has a vision for themselves in life. So that's very important. You know, next you need someone who is, I call it resiliently resourceful. Very important. When times are hard, someone who's resiliently resourceful, they could bounce back. Like, yeah, I'm going to be knocked down. Because you will be knocked down. See, you must have been knocked down, right? But what do? You get back up and you figure out a way, how do I take all of these pieces that have been cracked and how do I create a beautiful mosaic out of those pieces? That's resilient resourcefulness, incredibly important. Then you need someone who's open-minded, right? Open-minded understanding. Ultimately, what does that mean? That means curiosity. And I say this, curiosity is one of the sexiest traits in the world. Curiosity. Because if you have a partner who's curious, what will they do? They want to know everything about you. They listen to you and they care about what they're hearing. And that allows you to have strong emotional intimacy. So that's very important. And then last is you need someone who's going to give you compassionate support. Someone who's going to be there for you. You know, when you get knocked down, I'm right here for you. If you have these traits, you have the makings of the strongest partner for you. And that person doesn't have to test highly in all those categories. They just simply need to be on the pathway to realizing those.
As someone who called off an engagement at 26 after a 5.5-year long relationship, I've learned a lot about what actually matters when it comes to the long haul. So if you're trying to decide if you and your boyfriend or girlfriend have what it takes to go walk down the aisle and actually renew your vows 25 years later, I think I've cracked the code. It's not about attraction. It's not about a shared sense of humor or somebody who brings adventure into your life and you have a lot of fun with. Those are important things. Don't get me wrong. You still need them. That's not what I'm saying. But when it comes to sustained relationships, we're talking decades long, foundation for family building, there are some key fundamental things that you need to make sure you two have together before you tie the knot. So let's go over what they are. The number one thing is mutual respect during conflict. What this looks like in practice is if you two have a disagreement and you don't see eye to eye, how do they respond to you when they are fired up with their emotions, when they're fueled by anger, when they can't see clearly, when they can't think straight? Do they treat you as somebody that they care about, respect, love? Or do they treat you like public enemy number one? This is one of those things that just doesn't get better with time. It gets worse with time. Life is difficult, it's unfair, it's mundane, it's tedious, it's stressful, and it's unpredictable. If they already don't have the skills at this age with less responsibilities to handle their own emotions, it's not going to get better. And it's probably going to get worse, and it's probably going to be targeted towards the people closest to them, which is you. I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life with somebody like that. It's actually a death sentence in my point of view. The thing that I think is absolutely imperative when you're trying to decide if you guys are going to make it in the long haul is answer this question for me. Is your partner reliable? How do we define reliability? Do they answer their phone when you need them? Do they find a way to emotionally support you or mentally support you, even if it's not convenient for them? And this goes both ways. You obviously have to provide this to your partner, to expect this from your partner, but reliability is, in my opinion, one of the most special parts of being in a relationship. It's so important to know that your partner is reliable and someone that you can count on, like point blank, period. It's very simple. And a lot of people don't have this. Third one, and there's so many more that I could do, but we'll stick to 3 for now, is do they respect your love languages and love you in your love language? I've heard of lots of examples and personally experienced this myself where a man might have a love language of physical touch, for example, and a woman might have their love language as words of affirmation, and the man will show love through physical touch. If they know better, they should do better. And if you've been together for more than a month or 3, I would assume that they know what your love language is, and if they care enough, they should be loving you in that way. I don't want to spend my life being prioritized with cuddles when I really feel love through compliments or validation via words. If I want a long, sweet text at the end of the day, if I want to hear your voice over a phone call at lunch and hear how much I mean to you and hear how your day's going and have you ask how mine's going in this theoretical example, I think it's super important that people respect your love language and love you in that way.
Pick the gentle one, the kind one, the one who brings you peace, the one who is sure of you, the one who respects you, the one who understands your silence. Don't pick the one who makes you question everything. Don't pick the one who has you checking your phone 100 times wondering if they care. Pick the one who makes you feel safe. Like you could sit next to them in total silence and still feel seen, still feel loved. Pick the one who don't try to change you, the one who claps for your little wins, the one who talks to you like you matter. That's the one to pick. It's not about butterflies, it's about peace. Butterflies can feel like anxiety if we're honest. Pick the one that makes your nervous system chill, not the one who keeps you guessing, because real love ain't loud. It's steady, it's soft, and it feels like home.
One of the most important and yet most underrated questions to ask yourself when it comes to choosing the right partner is this: do you admire and respect their character? Are they a person of integrity? Are they honest? Are they reliable? Do they follow through on their word? Are they kind, generous, loyal, empathetic, patient? And not just to you, but to those around them, their family, their friends, strangers. Does that integrity hold true in times of stress and frustration? Because at the end of the day, the partner that you choose is the partner that you fight with, the partner that you make up with, the partner that you grow and build with. And all things considered, it's damn near impossible to build a fulfilling, happy relationship with someone who lacks integrity.
As a relationship therapist, I realized that a lot of people never actually find their true love. Now stick with me here. And it's so interesting because these days, especially as we get older, we see our friends and our peers getting married and having children and appearing to be with their forever partners. But a lot of these couples do come to me, and what if I told you that most of these connections aren't as rooted in love as they may appear? Most relationships are more about the benefits of being with a particular person rather than actual true love. You see, true love is who we are, and everyone deserves it. We come here through love, and I'm not talking about the love of your parents in the bedroom. We as humans, or just beings in general, are fundamentally the frequency of love. And that is why we chase it in the first place. We're seeking what we know is a part of us. Love in itself is a frequency more than it is an emotion. That means if one feels in love, that is an indicator that they are radiating at the same frequency, at the same altitude that love sits. And that is what makes them feel in love. But in reality, at that point, they just are love. I hope you're following. So there's an illusion that we're feeling in love, but the truth is that feeling comes from being it. And it feels so good to feel that because at our core, that is what we are. On the contrary, that's why it doesn't feel good to feel emotions opposite from love, because that is taking us further from who we are. And that's why the bad emotions hurt. So feeling love ultimately means we are it. And if we are it, we are now aligned with who we truly are, which feels good. So as a couples therapist, I've observed pair after pair. And I've realized that most people don't ever really find true love, but many do find someone that's good to partner up with. Now hold on to the reality of that. I've learned that most people never find true love because in order to find that, you would have to be that. And life is so busy, conflicting, and distracting that many don't have the time to actually focus on becoming it. Remember, love is more of a frequency rather than a simple emotion. So in order to find our person that is our true love, we would first have to match the frequency of true love, which is something most of us fail or avoid to do. Many people wait a lifetime to stumble into the one that makes them feel everything, the one that gives them no problems and makes them feel like they're in a Disney movie. But you'd actually have to become that first, which is way easier said than done. And it gets tricky because we assume being nice or giving or lover boys and girls is the type of love and care that'll do it for us. But the love that is referenced here is deeper, and it takes more conscious effort to align with. So how do we do it, Benny? Skip to the good part. How do we become love, the real kind, so we can have that? Well, I'm gonna be honest, it's simple. Love holds the same frequency as purity, truth, authenticity, no judgment, and radical acceptance. Now, even something as simple as having a very specific expectation for a partner, to be this tall, have this ethnicity, this job, whatever, will move us in the opposite direction of love. Because in order to have an expectation met, you would have to judge a person, which goes against the high frequency we seek to obtain. We're trying to get up here. Judgment is down there. Again, love is the highest of all frequencies. And so therefore, in order to receive it, true and explainable love, not the I love or like somebody enough to settle down with them love, you'd have to become it, which means you'd have to match the frequency of purity, authenticity, no judgment, and radical acceptance. Now, of course, many other things fall in the category of high frequencies. So to sum it up, being the highest version of yourself will get you there. That's how you get that. Now, I'm sure this is something you kind of already know, especially if you've been following me for a while. Be good to get good kind of thing. And not only because the Bible says to, not because your kindergarten teacher told you to be a good noodle, not even because society holds us to those standards, because energetically, you attract the things you carry the same frequency as. So if you want deep, deep love, you need to be it, the true kind. I know that's not your typical cookie cutter how to find a partner, but it works. Hope that helps. Love y'all forever. Mwah.
Thank you for watching. I hope that you like and subscribe to the channel. Maybe a story reminded you of your own love story, or maybe one love story gave you hope of what's ahead. See you next time.